Hi, everyone. It's great to see you. Really happy to be here, and what a successful event. Let me bring out our all-star panel right now. Bill Joy, Kleiner, Perkins, Caufield, and Byers. Kevin Kelly, author, What Technology Wants. Nicholas Negroponte, One Laptop Per Child Foundation. Willie Smits, Masarang Foundation. Gentlemen, great to see you. Thanks so much for joining in this conversation. And the title of our panel is really the big picture question. We're hearing so many great ideas at this conference. How do you put those big ideas to work in a practical manner? Bill, can you kick us off and tell us how you see the world, some of the ideas you've heard and believe can be applied to our lives, practically speaking?
Right. So I have the pleasure of working at Kleiner Perkins with John Doerr and all the other partners there. And we have three practices: life sciences, digital, and green. And we've heard a lot about digital. We all know a lot about the landscape of digital innovation. And we had some sessions on life science innovation. What I focus on is the green part, and in trying to find breakthrough technologies that are as exciting as the things we see in the digital landscape that can apply not only in the developed countries but also in the developing countries. So innovations with distributed and renewable energy like solar and wind, cheaper solar panels, cheaper wind generators, more affordable energy storage for when the sun doesn't shine and your solar panel isn't generating electricity. There's an enormous need for clean water, clean and distributed power and energy, and things that are low maintenance and easy to deploy, things that are practical enough to use in other parts of the world. And those are the kind of innovations. We see the innovations in those technologies that have the kind of economics to be practical all over the world as driving the growth of industries and jobs and in the coming years, and that's a big issue. Jobs is obviously a big issue for the United States. We're hoping to see manufacturing businesses that can make these things and ship them around the world.
And a lot of the ideas that you just mentioned, and the industries that you just mentioned, are long-term projects, but what you're saying is you could actually retool things, whether it's homes or buildings, and actually get jobs created right now.
Yeah, we had this thing we proposed called Cash for Caulkers, getting people to energy retrofit their homes to do jobs now. But in the long run, you know, who's going to make the batteries for the electric cars? The Korean government announced a 10-year program, a $15 billion subsidy to Korean companies to try to get 50% market share in batteries. Not a lot of people are going to get 50% share. So if they have, hopefully we'll have the 50% share, but those are new companies and new technologies that we have to develop, and hopefully we'll do them here and create the jobs here.
And Nicholas, we're talking about how technology has really enabled all of this in the developed world. You're also seeing the emerging world take on new advancements. Certainly your one laptop per child in Afghanistan and in Peru, among other areas, has made a big difference. How do you see the world?
Well, a lot of people in the room know me, and I've been on these sorts of things before where I'm constantly advocating something. But what's unique about today, Maria, is that now, 2 years later, we've got 2 million of these things in the hands of kids in 40 countries and 25 languages. Wow. And so I can now actually tell you sort of some of the consequences and when these kids get that technology, because the countries, the 40 countries, include countries like Ethiopia, Rwanda, Afghanistan, Gaza, so on and so forth. These are not rich countries. One of the things people told me about technology, and particularly about laptops in the beginning, was, Nicholas, you can't give a kid a laptop that's connected and walk away. Well, you know what? You can. You actually can. And we have found that kids in the remotest parts of the world, when given that connected, like some of the kids in these pictures, not only teach themselves how to read and write, but most importantly, and this we found in Peru first, they teach their parents how to read and write. 50% of the kids in Peru who use this laptop are teaching their parents how to read and write. I don't have a better story. And most people who think about technology and education leap to the word school, leap to teachers in the classroom. And the country we're focusing on right now, as Maria said, is Afghanistan. And in Afghanistan, first of all, 50% of the kids don't go to school, 75% of the girls don't go to school, but much more importantly, 25% of the teachers are illiterate. The next 25% of the teachers have had one grade of education beyond the child. So if they're teaching 5th grade, they've had a 6th grade education. So in those cases, you have to look at what is transformational. It's not making the classroom better. It's not trying to do traditional educational technology. It's actually using the kids, and I really mean the word using the kids, as the agents of change. And they're the agents of change because they get this and they do it very, very quickly. These kids, this happens to be in Afghanistan, and I'll stop. But in Afghanistan, we have an extraordinary situation today. And I agreed with Maria this morning that I'd mention it here. I've never said it publicly before. In Afghanistan, where we as the United States, are spending $2 billion per week on war. We are spending $2 million a week on education. That is our total USAID budget on education. Now, think about that. 2 billion versus 2 million. Mr. President, all you have to do is move half of 1% from column A to column B, and every child in Afghanistan will have a connected laptop in less than 18 months. Half of 1%. And that's what the United States would be remembered for. Karzai wants to do it. Petraeus wants to do it. The kids are ready to do it, and the entire infrastructure is ready to do it there. So, why not do it? Now that would make a change, a transformational change, using the kind of technology that we've been talking about. Thank you.
It's a really powerful story. Really an amazing story. Kevin, you finished your book, and it's a very provocative title, What Technology Wants. Why did you title it What Technology Wants? Why not What People Want? And talk to us about the theme of the book.
Well, my book takes off a little bit about what the things Geoffrey West was describing. But imagine not just that there are networks in our cells and in our bodies and in companies, but that the entire technological civilization forms one large network. And I think what's interesting about this conference is that there's sort of been a dawning awareness with many of the other talks, Brian Arthur's talks, David Christensen's talks, that the technology is as a whole almost like an organism, almost like something that deserves its own attention, not just specific technologies coming here or there, but that we should treat this whole thing as a viable discipline, as an entity that should be considered as its own. And what I'm doing with my book is trying to see the world through the eyes of this organism and saying any organism, any network that big is going to show emergent behavior. What are the emergent behaviors? And one of the things that I would say that it shows is that we can expect in the future technology to become more complex, not simpler. It's going to become more specialized. Anywhere where you see something being made, we can imagine and foresee that there'll be more specialized versions of it, except for things that go in your pocket. And I think that we will see that increasing diversity, increasing energy efficiencies, and other things like that, including increasing the world's opportunities and choices. And what that says is that we have to engage with this in a new way. And I think there is a kind of a dogmatic approach to new technology that says we should be caution first, precautionary principle. I think that the way we want to deal with technology as it comes on as this thing is to engage with it first. I call it proactionary principle. The first thing we should do with it is to engage with it, because we won't be able to predict what happens unless we are actually working with it. So rather than our first response to something new to say, well, we're not going to do anything until it's proven okay, I think our first response to something new should be, let's engage with it, let's practice with it, let's see what happens with it, and then we can modify our dealings with it as we go along. That's a very different attitude than the way people say we deal with new biological things, genetically modified crops, new wireless things, whether they're going to cause cancer. The way to deal with them is you try them out first. And I think that proactionary principle should extend throughout the world wherever technology is coming, because whenever there's a problem caused by technology, which it does, each new technology causes almost as many problems as it solves. The solution to any problem that's caused by technology is always another technology. It's a better technology. So in the same way that if you have a bad idea, the response to a bad idea is not to stop thinking, but to have a better idea. And so the response to a bad technology is better technology. And I think that should be our approach to the world, to see that the technology brings us good things.
So where specifically is the most innovative technology that you see today?
Well, one way to say this is where are things being disrupted the fastest and the most, and it has to be in the things that are based in communication. Communication is the foundation of our culture, it's the foundation of our identity. And when we start to mess with communication, we're messing with something very fundamental. So the disruptions that are happening in the communication sphere are those that touch us most deeply, and I think we would recognize that as being the most innovative.